It's that terrible tale of turn for England that is all too familiar now. 6 wickets falling, 3 apiece to AXAR and ASHWIN. It's almost a script on repeat. It leaves India on the brink of a series win, just 4 more wickets and plenty of time to get it. 85 runs and 6 wickets in that middle session on the third day's play at Ahemdabad. This is ESPN reconfirmed match day powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. Ian Bell, I'll give you a minute to just get your thoughts together. I'll go first to Sanjay Manjrekar, where we discussed that maybe wicket taking could be harder today if this pitch presumably had settled down a bit. Wasn't as hard for India, Sanjay.
Yeah, that was in the end an illusion because Indian batsmen were batting well and the English spinners didn't quite have the same potency that the Indian spinners are currently showing. So on a pitch where India just finished their innings at 365, you see England tottering now. So I think what's coming out of this performance is that England are running out of excuses. We were perhaps understanding of some of the performances in the series, but this pitch clearly, you wouldn't call it a flat batting pitch, but it is a typical Indian pitch that was turning, and Indian batsmen, and especially the lower order batsmen, showed the opposition how to play on these kind of pitches. So that was very disappointing from England.
Okay, that's strong words from Sanjay. Disappointing, certainly, Ian. The fact that there was a lot of hue and cry about the pitch and surfaces and whatnot, Sanjay makes the point. Have England now, run out of excuses to explain this sort of batting failure innings after innings?
Oh, 100%. No, there shouldn't be no talk about the pitch now. This has been a good test match pitch. And I think, as English players, you've got to expect that you're going to play on turning, pitches. That's part of the game. And there's probably been way too much talk about spinning pitches. I just think that it's really shone and showed really that the difference in quality in the spin department for England and India and also the batting. And I think today, it was a big day for individuals, but also the team. Yes, we might lose the test match, but you've got to take something from this test match going forward. Obviously, it's not long until we play India again in test match cricket in England. So really important message or match for certain individuals. But I think looking today again and watching Indian players and certainly the all-rounders today, they were comfortable in defence. And the more I watch Ollie Pope at the moment, it's just running down the wicket, sweeping. There's no control in defence, as we see with Joe Root. And Joe Root is the only player that really can defend and then also play on merit, where he's looking to score off the bad ball. It looks a little bit frantic now from England. And I just think these last few matches has really now become a mental battle for this group. And it's quite a tough watch for English supporters.
Excellent point from Ian. Sorry to interject, Ronald. I just want to extend on that point. He's absolutely right about Joe Root looking like the only English batsman who looked comfortable. And he had a bit of luck if he was playing for a team that was in a dominant position, who knows, Joe Root would have looked very good and dominated on this kind of pitch with the quality of spin attack. When I said excuses earlier, I meant I was trying to find excuses for, England's batting collapses or, some of their defeats, because there was an excuse in the last test. But if England got 112 in the first inning, so did India, just 145. So you could maybe say the pitch was tough. But, I'm really disappointed because there was so much promise shown in that first test match. And I kept saying this, like I've never seen a foreign batsman bat so well in the first innings in typical Indian conditions, 578 runs. The ball was turning there as well, but slowly. But what you're seeing now, England have been reduced to one batsman team where only Joe Root looks, as Ian said, secure in defense. You could say Ben Stokes, with a bit of luck, could be another thorn in the flesh. But the others have been terribly disappointing. Johnny Bairstow, especially, for having the kind of experience that he has, his showing has been disappointing.
Okay, that's a conversation worth having now. Then we spoke about this even in the Australia series, Ian, on Steve Smith. When Steve Smith doesn't fire, Australia don't look the same team. There's a huge dependable reliance on a player like Smith. Is Joe Root also one of those papers over the cracks? But for his runs, England could have struggled in Sri Lanka. But for his runs, England are struggling in this tour as well.
I think there's a massive argument for that going forward. There's no doubt. I think that if you look at that England batting lineup now, you only have to look statistically. There's only one player in the top 6 that average over 40, which again, for a test match batting lineup, when you're playing against the best teams in the world, that's going to be a battle. And that's still going to be a battle in English conditions. The quality of test match batting, we know, 50s don't win games, it's hundreds that win games. And when England have won, there's obviously a correlation that Joe Root in Sri Lanka he's got 2 double hundreds and a big, huge 100 as well. And when he hasn't scored runs and India have got him out, then England don't score enough runs. And that is a concern, I think. There's no doubt we've got some good young players. But again, now they're starting to get to the point where they've nearly played 20 test matches. When you start getting into that period of time, that honeymoon period of learning, you have to start delivering. You're always going to give young players opportunity and they've got to learn, but they've got to start showing progression. So we're getting to a little bit of danger territory there. But it's becoming a bit of a concern, that if Joe doesn't fire and score a big 100, then we're short on runs.
Is it an issue of confidence, Ian, or is it an issue of quality and personnel?
A bit of a both. I think confidence has been knocked now. Looking at that, we said we were so huge on the praise in that first test match. It was one of the best I've ever seen an England team play in India. But that seems a long, long time ago. So I think that mental battle has really got to them now. And we talked a lot about momentum, and I think England lost that momentum, and now India are just being ruthless with the momentum in test match cricket. But a bit of everything. But again, I'll go back to our domestic game. The young players don't get exposed to high quality spin enough in our game. So they're used to the, medium pace seam bowling. So when they get in these conditions, it is tough. And the ECB, I've seen it, I've been part of it in the coaching department, is you try and find ways to expose these guys to spinning conditions. We'll go to India, we'll go to Sri Lanka, play on in England A games. But there's nothing like playing India in a test match. It's a different level. So I think the young players will have something now to go back to and go, when we go back again in a few years' time, how am I going to do this better? My worry is that hopefully this isn't too many scars for our young players, because they've got to learn and become better. Hopefully that is what they're going to have to do going forward. But it's been pretty brutal to watch recently.
India spinners, Sanjay, are the first to take objection to the claim that all you do is talk about poor batting and bad pitches. You don't give us enough credit. Shall we give them some credit?
Absolutely, and especially now in the second innings, because there were clear signs that the pitch was becoming a little more manageable. It was typically showing the slowing nature that Indian turning pitches have over the years. And this is not what you would call a rank turner. I know the ball is turning, but it's a pitch where you can survive if you're a good player of spin. And that's where the problem has been. And today, I thought Ashwin showed his class. PATEL was a bit fortunate with a couple of dismissals of Simply and Ben Stokes, but Ashwin got good wickets. Batsmen completely foxed on defense, starting with the wicket of Crawley, then coming round the wicket to Joe Root. So the skill of Ashwin was clearly evident, and this is what Ashwin needs more, really. Pitches like this so that he can show how great a bowler he is. Otherwise, and you're always looking at the pitch and then looking at Ashwin's performances. A quick word on England as well. Sometimes when you look at any performer, you look at his performance, whether he is given his best or he has not. And today, watching England bat, I don't think anyone was guilty of not giving their best. They were trying their best to survive. But it's now come down to the question of ability to play in these conditions. And watching Crawley get out the way he did, that shows me a lack of ability to counter these kind of conditions. Bairstow's dismissal as well. Huge concern the way he played that particular shot. Pope looked like he was just hoping that he can find a way to survive. So there are 3 guys there in the top 6 who you would think just don't quite at the moment have the ability to survive in these conditions.
That's an interesting point you make. When England won in 2012, and it's still hailed as one of the great series wins, you were part of it, Delhi, and they did that after coming from behind. They lost the first test. They seem to have gotten better playing spin in India as the series got deeper. Now, was that just a case of more quality in personnel, more experience? Out here, it seems to have gone the other way. England's batsmen seem to have just gotten worse playing India's spinners as the series has gotten deeper in spite of winning the first test.
A little bit of both. Obviously, you have to have a little bit of luck as well along the way. But I think when you look at the stats and the numbers of probably the batsmen, there was more hundreds in that batting unit. Yes, there's a young side now, but I think I look back at someone like Alistair Cook, who played extremely well that series. One of Alistair's biggest strengths was being comfortable in defence. He was a very good defensive player on turning pitches, but also in English conditions as well. That was his strength. So, I don't see that as much with this England side. They're not trusting their defence anymore now. It really has got to that point where it's with Ollie Pope, as we said, it was like sweep every ball or run down the wicket. It was a little bit of panic has set in that I can't just trust my defence and bat for a period of time, where we know the longer you get in, the easier it will get. But we're not getting past that period. And it is tough for English players. But I think looking back on that tour again, the team collectively probably trusted their defence a bit more than this group at this moment in time. And you just hope these young players are learning from this. But yeah, it's very, very, very different at the moment.
Yeah, when you speak of Alistair Cook, I like that you bring that up. And we were discussing this before we went on air as well. The opening partnership is such a big thing, isn't it? When you come to India, England have not found the answers to that, not just on this tour, but you could say, if you extend the argument, ever since Alistair Cook retired in 2018, lots of players have come and gone. Even in 2012, someone like Nick Compton did the job to bat alongside Alistair Cook. That remains a major area of concern, doesn't it, Belly, about not just Joe Root, but someone to actually bat at the top. Cook's an all-time great, hard to replace, but it's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah, well, probably a bit longer, really, when you look at the detail. Probably since Strauss and Cook were the last time we had a real settled opening partnership. And then you can go one back, Trescothick and Strauss. So there was, I think, all top test teams, that confidence from having two opening batters that walk out and can get through the new ball, it spreads through the team. And then the middle order, you're going to have your stroke players and, maybe more aggressive players. But if they're constantly coming in at 2 down, 3 down, and the new ball, that's perfect for the opposition team. But we're just not getting the platform. And that can go and that's been an England problem for a while. And that's why Dom Sibley has been a bit more of a rock for us, really, a bit more of an old-fashioned opening player. So he'll be disappointed with this tour. But we've got to find the right combination now, not just for this tour, but going forward. And it'll be exactly the same in Australia against their bowling attacks. So it's finding the right combinations in the top 3. But again, if you go back to domestic cricket in England, a lot of players like to bat 4, 5, 6 because the ball's doing plenty. Yeah. So actually, we don't have an abundance of players in county cricket opening the batting or batting at 3, scoring lots of big runs. Lots of 50s and 30s. But again, when you go into a test match and you play India or again against Australia, who are the best teams, you have to bat 5 sessions. And we're not, in our domestic game at the moment, rarely do you see a team bat, certainly lunch on day 2. So there's a bit of work to do, like I said, at home domestically with how we play and are we helping our test team become the best it can be in these overseas conditions.
It's a point about, a lot of the good batsmen want to bat down the order. And we are living in an era where we don't have too many, 100+ test matches or a great batsman on the side batting at the top of the order. And you put New Zealand there. Kane Williamson is not opening the innings there. When you look at Australia as well, recent series when David Warner was unfit, they were struggling to find good openers. Pakistan historically have had all their exceptional players batting at 4, 5, 6. So yes, that is hurting Test cricket because the toughest challenge is right there at the top. And that's where you want your 50+ average batsman, which used to happen in the late 90s, early 2000s. You had all these prolific batsmen, people like Matthew Hayden, Justin Langer in the past, Gordon Greenidge, Desmond Haynes, Graham Gooch for England. They were batting at the top of the order, number 1 and 2. So the start was very solid. You had the most capable batsmen batting at the top of the order. Now, the best batsmen are batting down, and the guys who are opening the innings are averaging about 33, 34, even at the first-class level, mid-30s. We had one West Indies opening batsman averaging 29 at the first-class level. So it's a case of, let's send these 2 guys up there, 2 wickets down, at least, 10, 15 overs, we get to be inside, and then we go out as the better batsman a little later when things get a little easier.
Right. We're already entering into series review territory, which I'm sure we will in maybe a session from now. So let's take a breather. We still have a recognized batting pair at the crease. Ben Foakes showed promise in that second test in Chennai. Dan Lawrence showed promise in the first innings here. So we'll pick up this conversation at what looks likely to be the final session of this test series. 4 more wickets for India. They got 6 in the middle session, but for Crawley and Ben Foakes and Dan Lawrence standing in their way, they should end today. So we'll pick up the conversation at the end of the day on ESPN Cricket per Match Day, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G with Ian Bell and Sanjay Manjrekar. So do join us then.
Thank you.